everybody, welcome back to Tech Odyssey. So today I'm here with something particularly interesting and something some of you may or may not have seen before. It is the BlackBerry Playbook. So I got my hands on one, and this is actually the developer kit. It's like a game developer kit. That's what it says on it anyway. Brand new in the box. I was really surprised. I picked this up off of eBay. I think I paid about $60 for it. But anyway, I had a BlackBerry Playbook before. I loved it. Even though it had a lot of shortcomings, and even though BlackBerry left us hanging out in the wind and never upgraded it to BlackBerry 10, it just didn't have the resources for it. But we're going to unbox this and take a look at it now in 2020. We're right on the verge of 2021. But either way, this thing is about 10 years old now. It came out in, I think, April of 2011. And they cost a bunch of money back then. But anyway, before I get into all this stuff, I do want to say, if this is your first time stopping by the channel, I appreciate you being here. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. Now let's play with the Playbook. So, time to go ahead and crack open the BlackBerry Playbook. And this is particularly interesting because this is the game developer kit one. I guess they didn't send a whole lot of these out because there never really were a whole bunch of games for it. But I will say, two of the most amazing games that I ever played on a tablet were on the BlackBerry Playbook. They had probably the best Monopoly game like back in the day, and they also had Dead Space, and that was really good too. So go ahead and get into the box. This is what the normal box looks like. And yeah, I'm just really excited about this. It came with this little protective sleeve too, so it's like this neoprene sleeve with BlackBerry on there. And I really appreciated this thing back in the day because I use it a lot. I used to work in the military on night shift, and I would carry this around in my duty bag. I would use it for a lot of different things. I used it and tethered it for like emails and stuff. So it was quite functional as a normal tablet device. Now on the top here you can see it's got the volume rocker and the power button, and then it also functions as play and pause there for that too. Go ahead and take this out of here. Ta-da! And it's funny, it has the little indications on here for the swipe gestures. This was the very first platform that BlackBerry used QNX on, which is what carried over in BlackBerry 10 was built off of. So there's no home button on here, none of that jazz, and that was something that they got flack for back then too. They said it wasn't intuitive, and it's funny to me how unintuitive it was, but now that's where everything is at. So let's go ahead and take the plastic off. I still can't believe I got this brand new. Never been used before. So it's got a 7-inch screen on it. This thing actually weighs a little less than a pound. It had a really nice textured back on it. So it was like non-slip, and then a little metal BlackBerry logo there. It's like a 5-megapixel camera, if I remember correctly, that shoots up to 1080p. Headphone jack on the top, hooray, got that, ta-da. And then one thing that's cool is on the bottom. So it charges with micro USB. It actually has an HDMI, micro HDMI out. You can plug this in and plug it into a TV or monitor, and it'll export the video out to 1080p. So that's something that's cool as well. I wonder if the battery's even charged on this thing. Let's go ahead and try it. Pressing the power button. It's dead, Jim. So I'm going to have to put this on the charger. Thankfully, I have a micro USB charger right here with all of my other junk. So I'm going to plug that in. There we go. Playbook is plugged in. Now let's see what else we have in here. So have a little Playbook insert. This right here, BlackBerry Playbook comes with complimentary technical support for 90 days. It's cool. They have these little cards. Make sure you're in an area with Wi-Fi coverage. So this is probably the 16 gigabyte model, but they had a 32 and a 64 as well. If you bought them, they were really expensive back in the day. They were $499 for the 16 gigabyte model, and then it was 32 gigs. It was $599, and then if you wanted the 64 gig model, it was $699. They only sold like 2.5 million of these things in total in the whole lifespan of the Playbook. It's the same card, it's just in different languages, so Spanish, French, whatever. So let's see what else we got in here. So here's the rest of the stuff that's inside the box. One of the things I loved about the Playbook was that it had a really, really nice power cable that was part of the AC adapter, if I remember correctly here. If I can get this open. I pulled the sticker off, but there we go. So yeah, it was this big brick. This is like the international one, I guess. This one with the developer kit is slightly different, and it has prongs that go on here. So it's one of these weird adapters. The one that came with the normal Playbook was not like this, but you can see there, that's to plug that in. And then, yeah, so this is the international adapter. I was wondering why the people that sold this to me actually had a bag with some different adapters in there. That's not part of the normal kit, I don't believe. So for this, we'll take this, slide it onto there, and you can plug it in and charge it. I can't use this charging adapter here, but thankfully, I have my own. And then here's another BlackBerry cable. So this is just a USB-A to micro USB cable with the BlackBerry logos on it. Ta-da! And it looks like I've got a box here with some documentation in it. So we'll go ahead and open that up as well. And yes, so just the typical BlackBerry documentation, like 5 different languages here. I guess they have to do that. But either way, now that we've done the entire unboxing stuff, you can see here, we've got the green light on the BlackBerry Playbook. So I'm going to charge this up for a little bit, and then we'll come back and do some of the hands-on first impression stuff, since we need the battery in there so we can use it. So I'll be back shortly. So here we are up close and personal with the BlackBerry Playbook, the 32 gigabyte model. Now I said a minute ago I thought it was the 16. Well, the actual BlackBerry Playbook box cover was covered by that game developer box, so I couldn't see that it had 32 gigs. But getting in and messing with the tablet, there's not a whole lot you can do. And I knew that going into this. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot you could do when I got rid of my first one years and years and years ago. But there are actually a couple things you can still do. I was very irritated because it doesn't have my Monopoly game anymore. So apparently all the EA games that were in the store are gone. So you can't get those anymore. And also, YouTube ain't gonna work. It needs at least Android 4. Now, this did have an Android runtime emulation, but it wasn't Android 4. I think it was like Android 3. Either way, I tried to get a couple different browsers. I tried to do some side loading stuff. I couldn't. There may be ways to do that. I just don't know it right now. I have not looked into that. It's not the same as BlackBerry 10. But it is all swipe gesture support based. It's based off of QNX. This is the very first QNX based operating system that BlackBerry made, and kind of was a springboard to BlackBerry 10. The email would not work. It told me that it was like some website trying to break into my email and it wasn't supported. So I don't know what email I can get to work on here, but it wouldn't work with Google. And yeah, surprisingly, the Dead Space game that I used to really love is still on here. You can get that, which is surprising because I guess that is an EA game. But yeah, the Monopoly game's not on here. The Need for Speed Undercover game is still on here. That still works. Tetris is on here. Works really well. So there's still a couple of things that you can get on here and do, but the browser is basically kaput, toast. There was only, like, I think Facebook Lite would actually work with here, the Facebook mobile version, that logged in surprisingly. And, I mean, you've got the calculator. You got a couple other native things on here. Calendar, you can still use it for that. You can still use it for Media Player. Surprisingly, it holds up pretty well in that regard, especially if you put the movie files on here. It does have stereo speakers, one on each side over here, so that's nice. They're actually quite loud and they work really well. Very good full sound. The build quality on this was never an issue. It was made really well. I love the texture on the back here. One, it doesn't really pick up fingerprints, which is nice, but it's also a little on the grippy side. You've got the camera there, and then you've got the camera on the front as well. I actually used this the first semester I was in law school. I had a Bluetooth keyboard that I would use, and I would take it to class, and I would take my notes on this. Let's see what the camera looks like nowadays. I'm sure I don't look very good. All right, so we took a picture. Now let's go see what it looks like, wherever it's at. So in pictures, and I believe it's a 2 megapixel camera on here on the front. I think it's a 5 on the back, but there we go. So, yeah, this is more like a novelty thing. I really just wanted to pick one up to check it out now in 2020. I mean, we're on the verge of 2021, which is, you know, a couple of days from now. It's the 27th of December now. This was a really, really good tablet when it was built. 1 gigabyte of RAM, it had a dual-core processor. It was actually praised by a lot of electronics technology outlets as being very capable, very handy, lots of power. Revolving theme though, no apps, no app support. They did have some from the get-go, but there wasn't a whole lot, and then over time that kind of just faded away, and there's still some junk in there, but this is not something that you're going to be able to use as a primary tablet nowadays. I mean, you can use it for a media player if you want, but that's really one of those things where there are so many other much nicer things that you can have that are functional that would be better than this. But it was just nice taking a trip down memory lane. Like I said, I use it in law school. I used to use it at work all the time. I love playing Monopoly on here. I played this with like my kids and some friends back in the day whenever it was still working. And it was neat because you had the different sides, so you could just put it down on the table and people could have their different position to take their turn on the Monopoly game. I really wish I could get that on here. I would totally play it. So I may make another follow-up video later, see if I can find any stuff I can hack my way into this, or not hack, but just side load some stuff, maybe put some things on here, see if I can get a working browser. I don't think I'll really be able to, but this is the BlackBerry Playbook in 2020. So if you had one of these, sure, feel free to sound off in the comments. I had a lot of good times with this tablet. I didn't officially get rid of mine until they announced that they weren't going to put BlackBerry 10 on here, because they were originally going to put BlackBerry 10 on here. Thorsten Haynes can't X that, and it was because it just wasn't a good experience, because BlackBerry 10 needs at least 1.5 gigs of RAM, which they had in the BlackBerry Q5, which I never got. I'm going to try and get one of those maybe. And this one only has 1 gig, and then the dual-core processor, I mean, it's not terrible. It's still actually, this works really good. This is a surprisingly solid operating system for the hardware that's in here. So that's not the losing side of this. It's just, well, BlackBerry made it. They were too late to the game. And then this was kind of like foreshadowing for what happened with BlackBerry 10. Kind of the same thing happened, except on a much bigger scale. I mean, this only sold like 2.5 million units, and BlackBerry was the biggest phone company in the world back then. So they couldn't even pull it with their name and their name recognition. So that's all I've got on my look at the BlackBerry Playbook in 2020. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comments section. I will get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.